Rising from the mist, the Gordie Howe International Bridge stands as a testament to human ambition and engineering prowess. Its elegant span stretches across the Detroit River, a vision long imagined by both Canadians and Americans who dreamed of a stronger, more connected future. This bridge, linking Windsor, Ontario, to Detroit, Michigan, was designed to be more than just a physical structure. It was meant to unite two vibrant cities, two economies, and ultimately, two nations. A modern marvel, it promised to ease congestion, boost trade, and symbolize the enduring friendship between Canada and the United States. Yet, despite its noble intentions, the $4.8 billion project, funded entirely by Canada, has become the epicenter of a fierce economic conflict. Instead of fostering unity, the bridge has exposed deep-seated tensions and rivalries that simmer beneath the surface of cross-border relations. As the bridge neared completion, former President Trump imposed steep tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, citing concerns over national security and persistent trade imbalances. These measures sent shockwaves through both countries, threatening jobs, industries, and the very spirit of cooperation the bridge was meant to embody. What began as a straightforward infrastructure project has now spiraled into a high-stakes geopolitical showdown, with leaders on both sides scrambling to protect their interests and citizens caught in the crossfire. The bridge, once envisioned as a symbol of partnership and progress, now stands as a paradox, physically linking two countries while political decisions and economic policies threaten to drive them further apart. Tonight we delve into the story behind this iconic structure and explore how it became the unexpected flashpoint in a trade dispute that is testing the resilience of the world's most successful bilateral relationship. We'll uncover what's truly at stake for both nations, examine the ripple effects on businesses and communities, and consider where this unprecedented tariff showdown might ultimately lead. The fate of the bridge, and the partnership it represents, hangs in the balance. For over a century, the US and Canada have shared more than the world's longest undefended border. They've shared economic destiny. Billions in goods cross daily, supporting millions of jobs on both sides. Landmark agreements like the Auto Pact, NAFTA, and USMCA turned North America into a formidable trading bloc. The Windsor-Detroit corridor became the jugular vein of this system, but it relied on the aging, privately owned Ambassador Bridge. Handling 25% of all US-Canada trade, its vulnerability was clear. A single closure could paralyze supply chains. After 9/11, the need for a new publicly owned crossing became urgent, not just for convenience but for economic security. The Gordie Howe Bridge was conceived to safeguard the future of North American trade. In 2012, Canada and Michigan agreed to build the Gordie Howe Bridge, with Canada financing the entire $4.8 billion project, including the US port of entry. Construction began in 2018, creating a 6-lane state-of-the-art crossing designed for the demands of 21st century trade. But as the bridge rose, US politics shifted. In 2024, Trump criticized Canada's financing as unfair, vowing to rebalance the deal. On Canada Day, the US imposed 25% tariffs on Canadian steel and 10% on aluminum, directly targeting the bridge's backbone. The official reason: national security. The real message: control over critical infrastructure. Canada now faced punitive tariffs tied to its investment in shared prosperity. The tariffs shocked Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau called them unacceptable and retaliated with dollar-for-dollar tariffs on US goods. The tit-for-tat escalation marked a low point in US-Canada relations, with the bridge as a steel monument to the divide. US lawmakers from border states and business groups condemned the tariffs, warning of disrupted supply chains and job losses. The dispute became a political flashpoint, pitting economic nationalism against the realities of integrated economies. Internationally, allies watched as the world's most stable trading partnership fractured. For Canada, it was a harsh lesson. Billions invested in partnership, only to be penalized. The fallout eroded trust and forced Canada to rethink its reliance on the US. The bridge, once a symbol of unity, now embodied a partnership under strain. The tariffs' impact was immediate. US companies saw steel and aluminum costs soar, squeezing automakers and raising car prices. Canada's retaliation made American goods pricier in Canada, hurting exports from bourbon to motorcycles. The result: lost sales, layoffs, and a chill on cross-border investment. The USMCA's promise of stability was undermined by sudden policy shifts, making businesses wary of future investments. In border communities like Windsor and Detroit, intertwined businesses felt the pain: higher costs, disrupted supply chains, and uncertainty. Small businesses, lacking resources to absorb new costs, were hit hardest. The bridge was meant to foster local commerce, but the political battle threatened to undo that dream. The economic pain rippled from factories to local shops, showing the true cost of the dispute. Beyond the headlines, beyond the politics and numbers, the tariff war hit real people in ways that statistics could never fully capture. For many, it wasn't just about trade policies or economic forecasts, it was about their daily lives, their families, and their futures. In Windsor, union leader Dave Cassidy spoke of auto workers' fears, uncertainty, slowdowns, and job cuts. The factory floor, once buzzing with activity, grew quieter as shifts were reduced and overtime disappeared. Workers who had spent decades building cars now worried about how they would pay their mortgages or send their kids to college. In Detroit, logistics company owner Sarah Jenkins faced rising costs and shrinking orders, unsure if she could keep her staff. Every new tariff meant another tough decision: cutting hours, delaying payments, or letting go of loyal employees. The uncertainty rippled through her company, affecting not just her bottom line but the lives of everyone who depended on her business. Farmers like Tom in Washington State lost their biggest export market overnight, with warehouses full of unsold apples. Years of hard work and planning were suddenly at risk, as crops that should have fed families abroad now sat unsold, threatening the survival of family farms passed down through generations. Even bridge construction workers felt the tension, building a symbol of connection while hearing only of conflict. They worked day after day, uncertain if the project would be delayed or if funding would dry up, all while their own communities faced layoffs and closures. "We're building a bridge to connect people," one ironworker said, "but all we hear about is how it's causing a fight." For them, the bridge was supposed to represent hope and unity, but the reality was far more complicated. On both sides of the border, workers and business owners just wanted stability and a future they could count on. They wanted to know that their hard work would be rewarded, not threatened by decisions made far away. The bridge's promise of prosperity and partnership was overshadowed by the human toll of political decisions. For many, the sense of security they once felt was replaced by anxiety and doubt. The cost of the dispute was measured not just in dollars, but in livelihoods and lost trust. Families struggled to make ends meet, businesses closed their doors, and communities wondered if things would ever return to normal. Yet amid the hardship there remained a hope that the friendship between nations could be as strong as the steel they built together, and that one day, the bridge would stand not just as a structure, but as a symbol of renewed trust and shared prosperity. Experts agree, the tariffs are a blunt tool inflicting collateral damage and undermining trust. Factories and workers on both sides of the border feel the impact as costs rise and uncertainty spreads through the manufacturing sector. The ripple effects extend far beyond the industries directly targeted, touching everything from logistics to retail. Dr. Meredith Hale calls the national security justification a pretext, warning that it disrupts supply chains and hurts American consumers. She points out that these tariffs, while intended to protect domestic industries, actually make everyday goods more expensive and harder to find. The complexity of modern supply chains means that even small disruptions can have outsized consequences, leading to delays, shortages, and higher prices at the checkout counter. Dr. Gordon Robertson notes the diplomatic fallout. Canada, once confident in U.S. reliability, now rethinks future cooperation. The trust built over decades of partnership is suddenly in question, and allies are left wondering if they can depend on the United States in times of crisis. This uncertainty threatens not just trade, but the broader relationship between the two countries. Trade lawyer Mark Warner points out that bypassing USMCA's dispute process undermines the agreement itself. Ignoring established rules sets a dangerous precedent, making it harder to resolve future disagreements and weakening the very framework designed to ensure fair play. Canada's retaliation is legal, but the ideal solution lies in negotiation, not escalation. Both sides have much to lose if tensions continue to rise, and the longer the standoff lasts, the more difficult it will be to return to normalcy. All agree, a prolonged trade war benefits no one. Businesses face uncertainty, workers worry about their jobs, and consumers pay the price. The economic and social costs mount with each passing day. A face-saving solution, perhaps third-party mediation or a new cost-sharing deal, could end the standoff. Creative diplomacy and compromise are needed to break the deadlock and restore stability to the relationship. The bridge will open, but the scars of this conflict will linger. The physical connection may be restored, but rebuilding confidence and goodwill will take much longer. The real challenge, repairing the trust that made this partnership possible. It will require honest dialogue, mutual respect, and a willingness to learn from past mistakes. The future depends on leaders finding common ground before the damage becomes permanent. Only through cooperation and shared vision can both nations move forward, stronger together. As of September 2025, the Gordie Howe Bridge stands ready, but tariffs remain, a daily tax on a once unbreakable friendship. Quiet negotiations are underway, pressured by industries and local leaders desperate for resolution. A possible deal lift tariffs in exchange for a new framework on future infrastructure cost sharing. Both sides could claim victory. America for standing up for its interests, Canada for removing unjust tariffs. The key is shifting focus from past grievances to future cooperation. The bridge's lesson strength comes from balance of interests, values, and trust. The US-Canada relationship must find that balance again. The road ahead is uncertain, but the need to mend fences is as clear as the bridge itself. The Gordie Howe Bridge began as a promise of unity, now caught in a political storm. We've seen how one policy can threaten a century of friendship and economic integration. The tariffs have hurt businesses, workers, and communities. Trade wars are fought in real lives, not just on spreadsheets. Experts warn the greatest loss may be diplomatic trust, not just economic pain. The bridge waits, a silent question. Can leaders build a diplomatic bridge as strong as the physical one? The world is watching. Will these nations choose walls and tariffs or bridges and connection? The answer will shape the future of globalization and alliances. For now, the bridge stands ready, a monument of hope, waiting to fulfill its promise.